So the question is, why do you want to keep bees? I keep bees purely as a hobbyist. I don't make any money out of the bees. I don't collect the honey from the bees. I love bees for the nature aspect of it all, and the fact they are an amazing organism. I mean, the hive itself, I won't go into that because this isn't what the video is about. The video is called What I Wish I'd Known Before I Started Beekeeping. The first things first, before I started beekeeping, my husband said, before you start another hobby and spend loads of money, just go check out, see if you actually like being around the bees. I went to South Molton Honeybee Farm, and they have got from start to finish of their honey processing, and they have observation hives so you can see the bees working inside. I was like, that just got me even more hooked. So I was like, this is happening. I'm going to be keeping bees. I handle bees at an apiary at the Tall Bay Beekeepers Association just to make sure I'm comfortable with them. Then you have to think land. Now, I don't have a massive garden. I didn't want loads of hives. I only wanted a couple. Luckily, I was working on some land, clearing it with a friend of mine who was clearing an orchard. I have been working on this land for about 1.5 years with him anyway. And he was like, oh, you're thinking of keeping bees, why don't you put them here? Ideal, dead lucky. I went, yeah, great, installed them there, that's great. I've literally just moved out of that site because that site was, it was beautiful. The forage was amazing, everything was great, but it was such a bugger to get in and out of. You couldn't drive into the site, like, at all. I was always hiking equipment around. The village was so little, there was hardly any parking for my car. So if I had to move hives or carry equipment, I am only 5'5", and the equipment, that's the other thing. You have to think, like, I didn't anticipate how heavy beehives are going to be. When they're empty, they're quite fairly light. They're still quite hefty, but they're fairly light. They're just in really awkward shape. I personally can't lift a whole hive up myself. I just can't. When they're full, that's a different matter entirely. We have a system of how we move them, me and my husband. He doesn't like beekeeping. He has no interest in beekeeping, but I get him involved, poor thing, when I need hives moved. So when they're heavy, you've got a full hive of bees, they're massively heavy. You have the supers on top, which is where you keep the honey, and they're really heavy. So if you've got to move supers or beehives around, you need to have decent access. I had this site for 5 years and it served its purpose so well. It was not easy access, I'm going to be honest. I have another hive at another site, which is horrific access, and I'm moving that out as soon as possible. So how easy is it to acquire land? Turns out it's actually quite hard. There's a lot of land around here. I'm in Devon, there's loads of land around here, but you got to think, if people keep horses or cows or sheep, they're happy for you to have their land, or to rent a bit of their land, but you have to put up fences if there's livestock around, because you don't want the livestock rubbing up against a hive, because they will do, and the bees aren't going to like that very much. They can knock the hive over, the livestock could get stung. So you've got to kind of think in your mind. I heard this story when I first started beekeeping of a beekeeper who kept hives in a field where there was horses, and this beekeeper hadn't put a fence up around it because you don't know when you first start. The horses got stung because they rubbed up against the hives. They got stung and they actually drowned because they ran into a lake because they were so freaked out, skittish. They ran into a lake because they'd been stung and they ended up drowning. Now that put the fear of God into me, because I was just like, I do not want to have anyone. I couldn't cope with anything like that happening anyway. It'd break me, and and it's somebody else's animals, so you've got to really think about the land, where it's going. If you have human traffic passing, it doesn't have to be a mega problem. You just have to make sure you put fences up where the bees fly over the fences, over people's heads. But if it's a high traffic area of humans, of people, you've got to think, if you're opening a hive on a sunny day and there's always people moving around, and the bees might not be in a good mood, and they're not going to attack you. You're kitted up, you've got your veil on, you've got your gear on. They're not coming after you, they're going to come after anyone. So whatever they don't like the look of or smell of, or they can see, they'll attack them. So that's what you must know. Know before you start beekeeping, where you're going to put them, what's your location, how much time do you need to keep bees. Now, I totally did not realise that when I looked around my Beekeepers Association, a lot of these people are semi-retired or retired, and I didn't really clock that because I was just so keen on starting beekeeping. I only used to have one day off a week. I'll go to my hives, I'll check them, I'll see something's untoward, and I'm racking for my brain, what do I need to do? You've got to make a decision about what you're going to do. Sometimes it's too quick, sometimes you do something stupid because you haven't had time to think about it. It's having the time to check your hives and you don't have to check them every day. You have to check them maybe twice a week max in summertime. Once a week definitely, but twice a week is ideal in summertime. In the winter, you're fine. Just go and lift the hives, see if they need feeding, and put some fondant on it. What I have also found is, which I didn't know before I started, is when you have a day off, inevitably, like it has been recently for me, every time I've had a day off, it's been sunny, I've been somewhere else. I haven't been at home, I haven't been in my location. The days I have off have been raining. So, and you're like, I like to check my bees when they're out flying in a midday, it's nice and sunny, all the foragers are out. It's so much easier to look for a hive. So time, have you got enough time to keep bees? You've also got to make frames, buy foundation, buy equipment and things like that. But the making of the frames, I need another 2 boxes, I need to make another 2 boxes of frames. I haven't got the space to make another 2 boxes of frames right now because I don't know where to put the frames because you don't want to damage them. So I've got 2 boxes full of frames and I have nowhere else to store any frames that I make. So it's just a really quick video because I didn't have much time, just to say, things I wish I'd known before I started beekeeping, and it might help you, it might give you an insight. There are so many things though. I mean, even if you're thinking of becoming a beekeeper, and I don't want this to put you off, but you can do so many more things, not just for honeybees. You can plant forage, you can put water out. Forage I'm going to come back to this because forage is really, really important, and I think in a way, I don't want everyone to become beekeepers because actually we're going to lose the bees if we keep becoming beekeepers because there won't be enough planting of forage to go around. What else I wish I'd known before I started beekeeping? Time, money. The money aspect is another thing. My credit card gets hit up every year just for beekeeping equipment, guaranteed. And if you're not a commercial beekeeper, you're not making money out of beekeeping, it's an expensive hobby, but then so is having a boat, so is riding a horse. I choose beekeeping because I love bees. I love them, but money wise, they're going to rinse you. The equipment, the frames, the foundation, there are ways to get money back with the foundation and stuff. Just have a little think about it, don't rush into it. Any questions, tap me up in the comments below. Tell me why you want to keep bees. If you're interested in keeping bees, tell me why you want to keep bees. Obviously, we need to keep bees to save the planet, that's the obvious one. But it's not just honeybees who pollinate. You've got bumblebees, you've got wasps, you've got other insects that are just as good pollinators. But yeah. So I've got to go. I'll leave it at that. Ciao for now.